ෆන් එක next level කරන dialogue fan blaster.
Tonight, on First at 9 this Saturday, the 4th of January 2025. One of a kind. Sri Lanka, a global player in world-class gem production, asserts Industry Minister Sunil Handunetti. Further expresses confidence on Sri Lanka meeting global aspirations, surpassing its competitors in the global gem industry. The tax leak. Tax leak spurred by tax evasion behind Sri Lanka's inability to meet tax revenue targets, assert experts. Aiding and abetting. STF and prison officers involved in smuggling contraband into prison cells, reveals the Department of Prisons. The utility dilemma. A 10-person committee appointed to review the newly passed Sri Lanka Electricity Act. Litrogas meanwhile announces no price revisions for January 2025.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama Kiren Perata. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
කට්ට පරිස්සම් කරගත්තොත් අපි පරිස්සම්.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe වැස්සත් මට්ටුවෙන් ගෙදරත් තිස්නේ.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Drisingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lanka media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now, in your top story tonight, Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Sunil Handunetti reiterates that Sri Lanka is a global player in producing and supplying high-quality gems and highlights that events such as the Facets Sri Lanka will bolster the country's gem and jewelry industry, providing more constructive opportunities for both gem exporters and traders. Speaking at the inauguration of Facets Sri Lanka, the international gem and jewelry show, Handunetti expressed confidence that Sri Lanka will meet global aspirations by surpassing its competitors. The 31st edition of Facets Sri Lanka, South Asia's gem and jewelry exhibition, organized by the Sri Lanka Gem and Jewelry Association in collaboration with the National Gem and Jewelry Authority and the Export Development Board, was inaugurated today in Colombo under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake. The event was graced by several dignitaries including Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Sunil Handunetti, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijitha Herath, and Deputy Minister of Industry and Enterprise Development Chaturanga Singh, along with other distinguished guests.
This year, Facets aligns beautifully with the principles of the government Clean Sri Lanka initiative, celebrating the transformative progress of our nation in striving to achieve. We honor the legacy of Sri Lanka gems. Facets is more than an exhibition. It is a bridge that connects tradition with innovation and provides a platform where our heritage meets global aspirations. To our international visitors and buyers, presence here today underscores the global allure for Sri Lanka gemstones. You are partners in amplifying Sri Lanka's potential on the world stage. And to our policymakers, we are grateful for your support in ensuring this industry continues to shine. Your recognition of its importance lays the foundation for sustainable growth, innovation, and inclusivity. Facets 2025 embraces the ideals of renewal and transformation. Together, we aim to uplift the mining communities, foster innovation, and embedded ethical practices that honor our people and our land. Each stone tells a story, These stories light the way forward for a united and prosperous Sri Lanka.
The nation gem and jewellery exporters, the Sri Lanka Gem and Jewellery Association play a key role modelling industry's future. The main objective of this event is to create more constructive opportunities to gem exporters and traders, providing them with a great economic value. Sri Lanka gem industry has a very long and colourful history. Sri Lanka has been solidified in the island status of one of the top 5 producing countries. I truly believe that this event will be a defining milestone in the gem and jewellery trade, forecast fostering the culture and knowledge flowed across the Indian Ocean. With the natural connections among trade, beauty, heritage and fashion, Sri Lanka is currently positioning in the global market as a supplier of high quality gems, and it is reputed quality cutting and finishing center in the world, producing stones that meet the highest standard. Today we have compete with the East Asian countries such as India and Thailand. However, I strongly believe that event like Fest will be a consistent mode of play in our traditions, fashion and trade.
Following the inauguration, the President also graced the event and inspected stalls featured at the exhibition. Facets Sri Lanka 2025, the International Gem and Jewellery Exhibition, will continue until the 6th of January.
Union Assurance. Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Now, several cleanup campaigns and vehicle inspections were held today under the Clean Sri Lanka National Initiative, launched under the directives of President Anura Dissanayake. The inauguration of the Clean Sri Lanka Provincial Coordination Office in Anuradhapura was held today, where Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala clarified that an e-traffic service will be introduced to prevent traffic congestion, accidents and other traffic violations.
The Clean Sri Lanka National Initiative commenced under the directives of President Anura Dissanayake on the 1st of January this year. Under the Clean Sri Lanka Initiative, the inauguration of the Anuradhapura Provincial Coordination Office was held yesterday under the patronage of Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala and Acting Inspector General of Police Senior DIG Priyantha Veerasurya.
අපි තාක්ෂණය උපයෝග කරගෙන මාර්ග තදබදය වැළැක්වීම, ඒ වගේම මාර්ගයේ සිද්ධ වෙන වෙනත් අනතුරු පහම හඳුනා ගැනීම සඳහා පිළියම් යෙදීම, ඊට අමතරව වෙනත් අපචාර සහ වෙනත් පැමිණිලි සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඍජුව මේ කාර්යාලය සිට මැදිහත් කරලා මෙහුම් යාන්ත්‍රණයක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම, ඒ සඳහා ඊ ට්‍රැෆික් සේවාව ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙනවා. ක්ලීන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා කියන වැඩසටහනක අරමුණක් නෙවෙයි, විශාල අරමුණු ප්‍රමාණයක් සහිත සමස්ත වැඩසටහනක්.
Meanwhile, vehicle inspections were carried out across several areas, including Sripada and Kalutara, under the Clean Sri Lanka Initiative. Police officers and officials of the North Central Province's Road Transport Service Authority visited the Anuradhapura Long Service bus stand to inquire into complaints lodged by passengers over inconveniences suffered by them. Consequently, the General Manager of the Road Passenger Transport Authority, Veera Vijay Gunasekara, revealed that a police checkpoint will be established at the premises of the Anuradhapura Long Service bus stand to take complaints and to ensure the safety of passengers. Meanwhile, Speaker of Parliament Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne visited the sacred temple of Toothwellick in Kandy today. The Speaker of Parliament met the Chief Prelate of the Malwatta chapter, Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Siddhartha Sumangala Thera, and invoked blessings. During discussions with Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne, the Chief Prelate of the Malwatta chapter praised the government's Clean Sri Lanka initiative.
මිනිස්සු ගොඩක් කාලෙක ඉඳලා කියලා දැක්කම මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ක්ලීන් කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා.
අපි උපරිම උත්සාහ දරනවා සංවරභාවය වැඩි දියුණු කරගෙන රටේ ජනතාවගේ සුබ සිද්ධිය සඳහා වෙන ආනපනත් සියලු දේවල් ගෙන ඒමට.
The commander of the army, Lieutenant General Lasantha Rodrigo, also visited the temple of the Tooth Relic to invoke blessings and subsequently called on the chief prelate of the Malwatta chapter, Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Siddhartha Sumangala Thera.
ක්ලීන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකට කොහොමද හමුදාව සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ?
පරිසරය සුද්ධ කිරීම පමණක් නෙමෙයි. සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ජීවිත පවා අපේ හමුදාය වෙන්න පුළුවන්, සිවිල් අයගේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ හැම එකක්ම ඇඩ්‍රස් වෙන විදිහට තමයි ක්ලීන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා එකට අපි සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ. අපි හමුදාව පැත්තෙන් අපි හුඟක් දේවල් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
In another iteration of a special mission launched under the Clean Sri Lanka initiative, the police conducted a bus inspection in Horana. Legal action was taken by the police against drivers who had committed traffic offences. Meanwhile, a clean-up campaign under the Clean Sri Lanka initiative was launched in Gampa today.
Now, the Department of Prisons confirms that several police special task force and prison officers were involved in abetting prison inmates by smuggling contraband goods into prison cells. Addressing a press briefing today, spokesperson of the Prisons Department revealed that those involved in such crimes are already under arrest.
In a recent security sweep at Bursa High Security Prison, the Police Special Task Force uncovered a cache of mobile phones and electronic accessories surreptitiously hidden by inmates. The news grabbed the spotlight during the recent past, with similar news being reported from other prison rehabilitation centers. It was also alleged that the prison inmates were conducting crimes through the electronic devices obtained. During a press briefing conducted today, the Department of Prisons revealed that the officers of Police Special Task Force and officers of the prisons were involved in providing such electronic devices to the inmates.
අපි දැක්ක පෞගේ කාලේදී එම කඳවුරේ ජංගම දුරකථන ඇතුළු උපකරණ වගේක් අපිට එතනදී හම්බුණා. විශේෂකාරී බලකායත් බන්ධනාගාර නිලධාරීන් ගණනාවක් පෞගේ කාලේදී තහනම් ද්‍රව්‍ය ලබා දීමේ චෝදනාව මත අත්අඩංගුවට ගනු ලැබුවා. විනයානුකූලව කටයුතු කර බන්ධනාගාර නිලධාරීන් මගිමුත් විශේෂකාරී බලකාය නිලධාරීන් මගිනුත් ජංගම දුරකථනයේ අනවස්ථා වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
Diabetesol සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Prime Group ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන land leasing ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසි ගින්නක් නැහැ.
කිසි ගින්නක් නැහැ. Kalani fire shield wire.
Apico Mattress. උත්සව සමයේ සැපට නිදියන්න Apico Spring Star Foam Mattress මාදිලි රසකින්.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Now, in some economic developments, tax expert Anand Gajendran is of the view that digitalization of proceedings of the Inland Revenue Department will significantly contribute to bolstering efficiency while also eradicating loopholes which facilitate tax evasion. Joining our current affairs program at Hyde Park with Indivari Amuwatta, Gajendran also attributed the country's inability to meet tax revenue targets despite tax hikes to tax leakages spurred by tax evasion. Meanwhile, tax consultant Suresh Pereira revealed that tax evasion is most often committed by top taxpayers and not those in the lower tax brackets, although they have been at the center of attention when drafting tax legislation.
I'd like to address the question of who should be taxed. It looks like the government was initially promising that the common man, the individual, the professionals will be relieved. But while at the same time the income tax, the tax-free threshold was increased, there is withholding tax here as we talk about, and there are other indirect taxes also affecting the common man. And does this affect the government's revenue?
Principle of taxation, one of the principle is principle of capacity to pay. We had a tax to GDP revenue 7%. With all these efforts, with all the song and dance, all the taxes have gone up. We are still struggling this year to achieve 13.9%, 14%. Next year, 25, we are hoping to reach 1%, which is still below what we achieved in the early 90s, 20-22% tax to GDP revenue. Most of the countries, even developing countries, achieve 18 to 22% taxes. And if you want to have macroeconomic stability, you must have, like in developed countries, tax to GDP should be about 28-30%. Now we still have this gap. We are collecting so much, and we are still falling short of. We are still, next year at our best, we reach 15%. We should have 22% before 2022. Where is this 5%, 7% gap? I am telling that is the evasion and fraud and corruption.
And is that happening, Mr. Pereira?
It is happening, otherwise we will erect. So this money is not with the small taxpayers, it is with big taxpayers, and even you can't make any reforms on corruption because unless this government is going to do, because if as once before the president said, if the top is corrupt, if the minister is corrupt, the secretary will be corrupt, everyone down the line will be corrupt. Even if you take the Inland Revenue Department, we introduced a RAMIS system, digitalization. The first thing they wanted to achieve was to remove a concept of file assessor, but the department officers didn't allow that to happen. When you have a file assessor, you are in control of the file. They wanted to introduce under the RAMIS system sort of a workstation. If there is an issue, the system will decide the officer to be done and it to be implemented. Even on audits, risk-based audit, the system used to deduct. Now it is all human driven. So this digitalization program which is being spoken of, if it is implemented, then will bring in inefficiency and corruption.
Mr. Pereira, this evasion, as Mr. Gajendran mentioned, where do you think the government should focus to target on collecting that gap?
Yeah, so two things here. One is basically the tax leakage due to the evasion. The law is there, but it's not being followed, the non-compliance, and there's evasion taking place. That's one area. So also the taxes lost or leakage due to evasion actually is coming from the top. Not what is happening here is now actually you are focusing on the
small man,
right? So that's one aspect of it. But I will come out of the tax administration. The leakage due to the weak points in the administration. I'll come to the policy making. When you look at the policy making also, now all the policy makers are basically again looking at the individuals. But if you implement correct policies, the taxes that you collect from the corporates are much higher. And again, you can look at the other area that you were discussing, the non-resident service providers, non-resident digital service providers deriving income from Sri Lanka. Not a single tax is paid. No indirect taxes are paid, no direct taxes are paid. So that's another area that we need to, it's a sensitive area, but that should be looked at. And there are so many other areas. Now this is why I said that we need to have that study group basically to carry out the research.
There has to be
get the feedback.
Caution.
Caution, correct. That's, we have to get the feedback
because
also, have a white papers and then analyze
like
it. Then come up with the areas to focus on.
No, in the case of non-residents, quick one, most of the countries when non-residents hold their monies in that particular state, they don't tax it, right? If Sri Lanka wants foreign currency and if we are encouraging, if they have confidence, they will bring the money here to be deposited in our deposits and bonds. If you are going to tax it, that money might not come. That's one element. This is not within the country, non-resident. So you have to weigh and evaluate and see whether what is that you want to achieve. Our biggest problem this country has is our foreign currency deficit. Digitalization is another topic which we have to see whether we are going down the right path.
Now, meanwhile, Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurial Development Sunil Handunethi noted that the government expects to commence production of a new line of low-cost alcohol products using a byproduct of the sugar production process as its basic raw material. He reveals that this effort is an attempt to discourage consumers from consuming illicit liquor. According to statistics, Sri Lankans consume over 250,000 litres of illicit liquor a day.
Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurial Development Sunil Handunethi engaged in an inspection of the Lanka Sugar Company in Sevanagala yesterday.
අපේ සීනිවල අතුරු ඵලයක් තමයි එතනෝල් නිෂ්පාදනය. එතනෝල් ලීටරයක් උග්ගස් වලින් හදනකොට මිල තිබුණ රුපියල් 800ක් 1000ක් විතර තුන්වෙනි මට්ටමේ බඩගිරවුයි. මිලදී අර ගන්නකොට රුපියල් 173කට විතර ලීටරයක් හදන්න පුළුවන්. රුපියල් 173කට විතර එතනෝල් ලීටරයක් හදනේවා තමයි ඔය 3800කට විතර අරක්කු බෝතලයක් දෙන්නේ. බොන මිනිස්සු මේකේ දන්නේ නැහැනේ. අදාළ අංශ වලට යෝජනා කරලා තියෙනවා දැන් මේ බඩගිරඟු එතනෝල් වලට භාවිතා කරන අයට අවම මිලක් දාන්න කියලා. අපේ කළමනාකාරණත් එක්ක අපි කතා කළා, කාර්යමණ්ඩලත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කළා. රජයේ ආයතනයක් හැටියට ලංකා ෂුගර් සමාගමේම අතුරු නිෂ්පාදනයක් හැටියට ජනතාවට අඩු වියදමෙන් මධ්‍යසාර නිෂ්පාදනයක් අපිට ගන්න බැරි කමක් නැහැ. මොකද මේ වෙනකොට ලංකාවේ දවසකට ලීටර් 2,50,000කට වැඩිය නීති විරෝධී මත්පැන් මිනිස්සු පාවිච්චි කරනවා කිසිදු ප්‍රමිතියක් නැතුව. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා අරක්කු නිෂ්පාදනයක් නිර්මාණය කරන්න අඩු වියදමකින් හැබැයි ප්‍රමිතිය සහිතව. අරක්කු ප්‍රවර්ධනයක් නෙමෙයි උත්සාහ කරන්නේ මේ නීති විරෝධී මත්පැන් පානයට පුරුදු වෙලා ඉන්න ජනතාව ඒක නිසා තමන්ගේ ආදායම අහිමි කරගන්න ජනතාව ඒකෙන් මුදව ගන්න.
Now, in your political updates, the Samagi Janabalawege has released a communique today responding to a statement made yesterday by the Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, regarding a news report carried by a national newspaper. Via the communique, the Samagi Janabalawege states that they condemn the minister's statement with deep contempt. The party claims that the current government, which promised to protect the media's freedom of expression, is attempting to curb those freedoms of media institutions that do not agree with the government. reminiscing how the JVP treated late veteran journalists such as Tevis Guruge, Sagarika Gomez, Kulasiri Amaratunga and Premakirti Dialvis during the insurgencies in 1988 and 1989. The Samagi Janabalawege says that the minister is attempting to impose pressure on media institutions by issuing threatening statements. The communique underscores that the national newspaper has performed its responsibility and emphasizes that the Minister of Mass Media, who is responsible to ensure the rights of the media, must immediately halt his actions. Now let's take a look at other political reactions which come off the back of Dr. Lalinda Jayathisa's remarks. Just 3 months after taking over the reins of the country, the government seems to be keen on stifling the media. The official spokesperson for the government revealed those plans. It seems as if they are now attempting to swiftly threaten and stifle the media through the provisions of the Online Safety Act. However, on the election stage, they promised that they would bolster the rights of free media and repeal laws which stifle it. They say one thing and do something else. They have one opinion when they are in the opposition and another when they are in the government. The law is applicable to everyone. Journalists should also be regulated by the law of the land. Just as politics was devoid of ethics, media is also devoid of ethics at the moment. It exists, but it's not seen very often. If journalists themselves come to a consensus and draft a convention, that is the best way forward. If that does not happen, we need laws to correct the course of the country. Journalists need it, I need it, everybody needs it. They have begun to accept that those in the NPP are also human. We are extremely happy about that. They are making blunders at the moment and seem to be correcting their course publicly. Governance is a difficult task. Taking decisions is an extremely difficult task. If someone asserts the existence of a perfect human being somewhere, I would beg to differ. They must be allowed to correct their course. The people must then be allowed to decide the next course of action. They are publicizing fabricated and hypothetical scenarios. The NPP has no intention of impeding the rights of anyone. We drew a picture of the country's journey ahead in the lead up to the election. We are now paving the road for that journey without damaging that picture. Welcome back. Now in your business news, the Minister of Energy appointed a 10-member committee to review the newly passed Sri Lanka Electricity Act as approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. The relevant committee is tasked with conducting a comprehensive review aimed at amending the Sri Lanka Electricity Act and to submit the recommendations within a 1-month period. Thereby, Secretary to the Energy Ministry Udayanga Hemapala was named the chairman of the committee, while Director General of the Power Sector Reform Secretariat Prabodha Niroshan was appointed the committee's General Secretary. Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Energy Chandana Vijay Singha was named the convener of the committee. Meanwhile, domestic gas supplier Litro Gas Company announced that the prices of its domestic LP gas cylinders will remain unchanged for January this year. Accordingly, the price of a 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder will remain at 3,690 rupees this month. Similarly, the 5 kilogram gas cylinder will continue to be retailed at 1,482 rupees, while the 2.3 kilogram gas cylinder will be sold at 694 rupees. No LP gas price revisions took place last month as well, and the most recent price revision was in October. Meanwhile, Lavs Gas is yet to announce their decision in this regard. And now here's a look at some corporate news in brief.
The Nestle Coconut Development Plan expanded recently, benefiting 500 rural families in the northern province. Conducted for the 8th year running in collaboration with the Coconut Cultivation Board of Sri Lanka, the program has supported approximately 5,000 home growers with hybrid coconut plantlets and other resources with the aim of expanding coconut cultivation in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Selinko Life recently conducted a free medical camp in Nelua, Gaul, under the company's Vaidya Hamua community health program, ending 2024 with 12 such camps that benefited more than 2,600 people. The Vaidya Hamua program has now completed 20 years, providing access to doctors and diagnostic tests to well over 150,000 people, and has assisted them treat previously undiagnosed non-communicable diseases. The company said the medical teams accompanied by Selinko Life personnel had travelled more than 5,000 kilometres in 2024 to conduct these camps. In other corporate news, Richard Peary's Group Services Private Limited announced the appointment of new directors to the company. Accordingly, Hennayaka Mudiyanselage Luviranga Pamudita Bandar Hennayaka was appointed as an independent non-executive director, while Udeni Kusumsiri Samararatna assumed duties as an independent non-executive director with effect from the 1st of January this year.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. For further updates, stay in touch with Other Derana, Sri Lanka's premium news provider. Thank you. Have a great night.